Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Physical Education and Health. So we are already at our 15th week, and for week 15, our topic is about the personal safety protocol to avoid dehydration, overexertion, hypo and hypothermia during MVPA participation. So for this week, we will define those following hazards, which is the dehydration, overexertion, hypo, and hyperthermia, and also enumerate the different safety protocols when exercising. So once again, this PowerPoint presentation was prepared by Sir Jemuel Anthony O. Garcia. So dehydration, what is dehydration? Of course, dehydration is a condition caused by the loss of too much fluid from the body, and it happens when you are losing more fluids than you are taking in. When your body does not have enough fluids to work properly, so you are dehydrated. So pag nag-exercise ka, you lose fluids and electrolytes through sweat, which can cause dehydration as well. And dehydration can affect your mental and physical state, leading to problems that affect your performance. So, uh, also, ang dehydration, it weakens your mental function. So, ano ba ito? Motor control, decision making, and concentration. So, when your body is dehydrated, your stomach also passes food into the small intestine more slowly than normal. This can cause your stomach to hurt. All of these differences in your body can reduce your performance during exercise as well. So, what are the different symptoms of dehydration? Ito ay headache, fatigue, mood changes, slow reaction times, dry nasal passages, dry or cracked lips, dark color urine, muscle cramps, weakness, confusion, hallucination. So these are the symptoms of dehydration. So also, how are you able to prevent dehydration? So of course, drink regularly during exercise and it could prevent the worst side effects of dehydration. So drink a lot of fluids, inom lang ng inom. And also drinking the right of amount of water can prevent your heart from rising, prevent body temperature from rising, and also improve performance during exercise. So how much fluid do I need? Kailangan ba uminom ng isang galong tubig or 4 liters of tubig? So ito, your body needs different amount of water before, during, and after exercise. So before exercise, you should drink 1 cup of water at least 4 hours before exercising. During exercises, 4 to 5 ounces of water every 10 to 15 minutes. After exercise, drink enough water to double the amount of water your body lost during exercise. So if you're scientifically minded, you can actually measure how much water you should drink after you exercise using the weight test. So we have the simple formula. Weight before exercise and weight after exercise is equals to fluid loss. So be fit just to be sure not to sabotage your workouts. Stay hydrated. So that is for our first um, first condition that happen when you over-exercise or when you are losing a lot of fluids. So this is dehydration. The next one is overexertion. So to put it simply, overexertion is the state of being physically and mentally pushed beyond one's limit. You know the expression about no pain, no gain. So ito yung parang hindi na kaya pero pinupush mo pa rin yung sarili mo. So you should pay attention when your body is sending you warning signs. So ano ba yung mga symptoms ng overexertion? First is chest pain. So if you experience a chest discomfort, overexerted ka na. Also shortness of breath. So pag sa tingin mong parang nahihirapan ka ng huminga, so overexerted ka na din. Lightheadedness, pag feeling mong parang nahihilo ka na at nagdidilim na yung paningin mo, you might pushing your body to the limit na. So it could be very dangerous na din. And joint pain also, pag sumasakit-sakit na yung mga joints natin, so you are exerting, or you are overexerting na your exercise. So how to prevent exertion? Limit the amount of weight you carry. Make sure that your toes are always pointing in the same direction like that one of your nose. Also avoid doing repetitive workouts as they create tension in the muscles, and repeating certain movements for longer duration may increase your stress level, and take breaks between your exercises. So the next condition that we have is hypothermia. And hypothermia is a more severe response to cold exposure. So hypothermia, ito yung sobrang nilalamig na yung katawan. So what are the signs of hypothermia? So we have here shivering, cold sensation, goosebumps, confusion, numbness, intense shivering, lack of coordination, sluggishness, violent shivering, difficulty speaking, mental confusion, stumbling, and depression, muscle stiffness, slurred speech, and trouble seeing, and unconsciousness. So these are the signs of hypothermia. So how do you prevent hypothermia? So have a layer of clothing, lalo na yung sa mga lugar na sobrang lamig. So um, yung mga hindi sanay din sa lamig. So this is a way to prevent hypothermia. Several thin layers of warmer than one heavy layer. Layers are also easier to add or remove, and thus better to regulate your core temperature. The goal is to keep the body warm and minimize sweating and avoid shivering. The next one is cover your head. Your head should be covered while exercising in the cold because heat loss from the head and neck may be as much as 50% of the total heat being lost by your body. Also, cover your mouth. So to warm the air before you breathe it, use a scarf or mask. Do this especially if breathing cold air causes angina or chest pain, or you are prone to upper respiratory problems. Next, prevention is stay dry. So wet, damp clothing, whether from perspiration, precipitation, significantly increases body heat loss. So kailangan tuyo lagi yung damit. And of course, keep your feet warm and dry. Use a fabric that will prick perspiration away from the skin. Polypropylene, wool, or other fabrics that wick moisture away from the skin retain and insulating properties. Keep the body warm when wet. And also stay dehydrated. So dehydration affects your body's abilities to regulate body heat and increases the risk of frostbite. So fluids, especially water, are as important in cold weather as in the heat. Avoid consuming alcohol or beverages containing caffeine because these items are dehydrating. So that is for hypothermia. The next one that we have is hyperthermia. So yung hyperthermia naman, ito naman yung parang sobrang init tapos nag-exercise ka. So yung blood pressure mo nagre-rise and increase of body temperature and the amount of work mas pag nag-combine to, ito na yung sinasabi nilang hyperthermia, or parang yung iba nga nasa stroke pa dito kasi alam niyo yung mga nagbabike and then sobrang init. So what are the symptoms of hyperthermia? The symptoms of hyperthermia depend on the stage it has reached or how much the body is overheated. Symptoms of overheating may develop very quickly or over the course of hours or days as the body attempts to cool itself by sweating. The sweat takes with it water and crucial salts called electrolytes, causing dehydration. So we have types of hyperthermia. So we have here heat fatigue and cramps. So yung stage of hyperthermia that causes this heat fatigue and cramps, we have excessive sweating, exhaustion, flush or red skin, muscle cramp, spasm and pain, headache or mild lightheadedness and nausea. For heat exhaustion, we have cold, pale, wet skin, extreme or heavy sweating, fast but weak pulse, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, headache, muscle cramps, exhaustion, weakness, intense thirst, dizziness, less frequent urination and dark urine, difficulty paying attention or concentrating, Mild swelling of the feet, ankles, or fingers, and hands, temporarily fainting or losing consciousness. For heat stroke naman, uh, it can lead to dangerous complication, especially in young children and of course, people over 65 years of age. So pag heat stroke, ang mga symptoms naman is fast strong pulse or very weak pulse, fast deep breathing, reduced sweating, hot red wet or dry skin, nausea, nahihilo, sumasakit ang ulo, nasusuka din pala yung nausea, dizziness is nahihilo, confusion, and then disorientation, blurred vision, irritability or mood swings, lack of coordination, fainting or losing consciousness. And the symptoms of severe heat stroke include seizure, organ failure, coma, and death. So pag hindi agad na agapan. So for week 15, your activity is kindly look at your handouts or PDF file. We have a table. So um, right under classification, right, if the situation is given dehydration, overexertion, hypothermia, impairment, and then write three possible solutions you can perform to prevent the situation or that condition. So I will show you a short video discussion regarding about week 15. So this is our video
TERS,
discussion.
overexertion, hyperthermia, and hypothermia. Starting with TERS, I'm confident that everyone has experienced this, but today we'll be talking about a different kind of TERS. There are times that our TERS is stronger than usual and will continue even after we drink a cup of liquid. During this episode, we'll experience blurred vision and fatigue. If you are having these experiences, maybe that is a symptom of dehydration, diabetes, heart, liver, kidney failure, and sepsis. Either of the four, but in this lesson, we'll be focusing more on dehydration. Please take the time to research about dehydration, just the basic definition for you to have an overview of what it is. But if you already know what is dehydration, you may continue watching the video. Now that you all know what is dehydration, here is the basic or the fundamental way of preventing dehydration. The first one is to drink fluid regularly throughout the day and to increase your water intake by eating water-rich foods such as tomatoes, orange, watermelons, and other forms of melons. So this is just a very basic way in order for us to avoid dehydration. For us to know if you are getting enough fluids, all you have to do is to check your urine. Check the color if it is light, the volume if it is high, and if it does not have a heavy smell. Take note that every organ, tissue, and cell in your body needs water. Water helps your body to maintain normal temperature, lubricate and cushion your joints, protect the brain and spinal cord, rid your body waste through perspiration, urination, and bowel movements. There are some instances where we need to take extra fluids, such as hot weather, engaging in vigorous activities, when we are having vomit, or having a fever. Always remember that if you fail to replenish the fluid you lose and fail to respond to your thirst by drinking fluids, you can become dehydrated. To avoid dehydration, make sure you drink enough water and other fluids. Replenish electrolytes lost through sweat with sports drinks or enhanced water. Take frequent breaks from hot environments or strenuous activities. Use a damp cloth to lower your body temperature and reduce sweating. Avoid drinking heavily caffeinated, alcoholic, and sugary beverages, especially when you're working out or exerting yourself. Let's proceed to overexertion. These types of injuries are usually caused by repetitive motion, such as typing, lifting heavy objects, or working in an awkward position. Overexertion can also be called as overtraining. Here are the causes of overexertion injuries. Sports and exercises. Basically, those who do not perform warm-ups before performing the activity. Motion control, video games, and hobbies like woodworking, building, and remodeling. The only way for us to avoid physical overexertion is to practice good posture. Because overexertion is fundamentally caused by awkward positions. Next, we have sweating. Sweating is a bodily function that helps regulate your body temperature, also called as perspiration. To make yourself comfortable and minimize sweating, here are some tips. You may pause the video and read each of them. You may pause the video now. Hyperthermia and hypothermia. Hypothermia happens when your body's temperature drops to dangerously low levels because of cool environment. Hyperthermia refers to several conditions that can occur when your body's heat regulation system can't handle the heat in your environment. To avoid confusion, hypothermia happens when our body cannot handle the cool environment. Hyperthermia, on the other hand, happens when we cannot handle the heat in the environment. Here are the preventive measures to avoid hypo and hyperthermia. When the weather is cold, we need to wear thick clothings, but if it is very hot, we need to wear clothings that can make us feel cool. Staying dry is also important, especially when the weather is very cold. And you also need to avoid swimming for a long period of time and make sure that you wear water repellent coatings in the rain. On the other hand, if the weather is too hot, to avoid direct contact from the sun. Try to answer the following without looking at your notes. Define thirst, overexertion, hypo, and hyperthermia. You may pause the video. After defining them, you may play the video again. I will assume that you have your answer. Let's proceed to the second one. Give one preventive measure for each. You may pause the video now. I will assume that you now have your answer. If you are not able to answer the questions, do not worry because you may play the video again as long as you please. Just be sure to understand each of them before proceeding to our activity. Thank you class for listening today, and I do hope that you learned a lot. Goodbye and God bless.
Good afternoon, traders. This is Anthony Esguerra from Learn to Trade Philippines. Latest news just in. Learn to Trade Philippines has just won an award.
So once again, for week 15, only answer activity 1. And then we had discussed personal safety protocol to avoid dehydration, overexertion, hypo, and hypothermia during uh, physical activity. So see you all, everyone, on week 16 again. So thank you and God bless.